All right, so the recording just started. So today I wanted to talk about um how did I just lose my train of thought that quick? But no, so today I want to talk about feeling distant from God. And it's crazy because we just did a fast in the youth group. Um not last week, but the week before that. And it's crazy because literally right after my fast, maybe a few days after, I felt so distant from God. And I realized different things that were causing me to feel so distant from God. And I kind of want to talk to you guys about this. And so you guys can be able to identify different areas that could be causing you to feel distant from God and what to do to build that connection back. And half of the time when we feel distant from God, God is literally not distant at all. It's just, maybe something is crowding that space. It could be distractions. I remember one week we talked a lot about distractions and how literally the things that are taking our time away from God distracts us and it keeps us further from him. So like you might notice the days where you spend a lot of time maybe watching shows or on social media or maybe on the phone or texting and not as much time in your word or watching sermons, you start to feel distant from God. And it's just because you're spending more time in other areas. And personally for me, when I felt my most distant from God, it was maybe three things that I was doing a lot. So one would be spending way too much time on social media, like specifically TikTok. I noticed when I spend so much time on TikTok, countless of hours, I don't even be feeling like reading my Bible when it comes to nighttime. Like when it comes to time for me to read my Bible, because my mind be so filtered with like everything I've seen on TikTok, and I just be so ready to see the next video. I don't even want to read my Bible. I don't even want to turn on the sermon because it feels, it's just a completely different energy. And another point in my life where times where I felt distant from God is when I don't spend a lot of time in the Word. So, like, I'll try to hurry up and get through my Bible study, or I try to hurry up and get through watching a sermon. When I'm not intentional about the information that I'm receiving through reading my Bible or through prayer and things like that, I start to feel really distant from God. And even when I'm on the phone too much, so like I have this new friend, I would say like associate from like back from childhood, and we've been spending a lot of time on the phone. And I noticed like I'm starting to feel like I'm spending more time on the phone when I know I should be doing other things. So that makes me feel more distant from God. And even the conversations we would have, I'm like, wait, this, we probably shouldn't even be talking about half of the stuff that we be talking about. And me noticing that, now I'm able to correct it and be like, okay, instead of me spending my time on the phone talking about events that happen in the world or just events in her life or my life, I could be doing something more productive with my time. So when I'm wasting time, I'm like, I start to feel far from God. And even when I talk to, I remember when I was in my 4 year on and off relationship, I felt so far from God. And even when He would like reach out and we would communicate, I would feel so far from God in those moments because I knew God did not want me in that relationship, but I was trying to make it work so bad. And
Girl, you speaking. You is speaking. Listen, you are speaking.
yes, like it's like that really draws me so far from God. And I be wondering, like, God, why don't I feel like I hear you? Why don't I feel close to you when I'm reading your word and stuff? And it's like, you got too much going on. Like, I'm speaking to you, but you can't hear me because you're doing what you want to do anyway. And so I would say some ways to strengthen that connection. For one, be very honest and open and transparent with God about you feeling distant from him. Like I remember the other night, if I'm not mistaken, it was either last night or the night before last night. But I was like, God, I really don't even feel like I'm reading my Bible right now, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't feel like I don't even have the desire because my past was it last week? Yep, last week. My past last week was so busy because like my birthday came and I was like enjoying my birthday and Father's Day and just hanging out with friends and family, just going with the world or whatever, everything that's going on in the world. And I wasn't really spending that much time with God. And it's like I can't put God on the back burner and then wonder why I feel distant from him. So I would definitely say be honest and open with God about you feeling distant, and be honest about with him about what has been going on in your life. What is taking the place of him being front and center. And I was able to be honest with him and be like, hey, I've been on the phone practically gossiping. Like, if we're talking about, even if it's just stuff that's going on in the world or her life, her situations, or my situations, it's still gossip. Even if we're not badly talking about people, it's not productive information, if that makes sense. So I had to be honest with God. I'm like, that's what I feel like is keeping me distant from you. And then I literally broke down all the different things that I had literally just mentioned, like being on TikTok too much, keeping me distant. And so I would say be honest with God about those different feelings. And
Yeah.
then on top, oh, you wanted to add something, Adeline?
Oh no, I'm listening. I feel like we live in the same life. It's crazy. It's
We
le-
might be.
crazy.
Listen.
Legit. I just got out of a season like that where oh man, I was so distant. I was so distant. And it was my fault. And what people don't, you know, have enough courage to admit is when it be your fault.
Ooh.
Like I know what I did. I know what I did. And to be quite frank, I loved, but was it benefiting me? No.
Mm.
And God will always, he'll let you have have your fun, but when you're in purpose and when you accepted Christ, I feel like there's a timer on quote unquote fun. I tell
Listen.
you, God snatched me up like he snatched me by my legs. Oh my God, he snatched me. And now I'm really in a rebuilding type of season right now. I went through the punishment phase,
Mm.
coming out of the punishment phase, motivated, but also to still being real because the problems I dealt with before, I'm dealing with new ones now.
Yeah.
So it's like, you got to be more careful. You know better, so do better. But really, what we talked about, like probably 2-3 weeks ago, about like not letting yourself fall off of your routine twice. I tell you, that stuck with me. That has stuck with me. I do not let myself not do it twice. Even from little stuff like when I take out my contacts. Okay, if I don't take it out now, tomorrow night I'm taking them out.
Yeah.
Like it. That was a legit like that quote.
And that's so crazy because it not only do it apply to the big areas, but the smallest areas. Like if we don't let ourselves miss twice in the smallest things, it'll be easier in the big areas. And I love how you said that, like, God gonna let you have your fun. Cause one thing about it, he's a gentleman. He's not gonna just, force you to do anything. So I
Right.
had full will to do what I wanted to do. And when I was wasting all that time, like just being on TikTok way past due, like just scrolling to the point where I didn't even want to read my Bible, being on the phone too much, leaping and snipping into gossip. And then like God was like, okay, do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you're gonna be coming back. Like you gonna be coming back.
So
Give it a few days.
crying too, crying. Lord, I'm sorry. Lord, I'm sorry.
Right. Listen,
I
I won't do
there.
it
Oh, good.
again.
Oh my God. I've been there. And just the other day too, I made an Instagram post
Mhm.
and it basically was saying, I had to catch myself in like this negative thought. I said, you know what? I just wish my life was how it was last year. And right inside that thought, I legit was like, nope, that thought is demonic because number one, change is necessary and we're not excluded from change, being that we go through seasons like even the weather around us changes. So what makes you think that you're you're not subject to change? But I tell you, Chad, God just got done whooping me. I'm not even playing.
Yep. And it's just his grace. Like honestly, it's his grace because
Hmm.
he will never let us he won't let us wallow in it. He will never let
Right.
us just keep going in the cycle and cycle. He gonna catch us. And I appreciate that so much because just when and it's crazy because I told y'all, I was like, after the fast, the devil he gonna try to come in. And hey y'all who just joined in, y'all, we like 17 minutes in. I am recording though, so y'all will go back and watch. I'm sorry, not watch, but listen to the last 17 minutes. But y'all, we talking about how what to do when you feel distant from God. And I was just sharing like how distant I was feeling from God because I was wasting so much time like on TikTok. I wasn't being productive at all. And then like my birthday had came and Father's Day was like in the same day and my friend's birthday is like the day before mine. So like I was just so caught up in running errands and doing this, hanging out, celebrating my birthday and stuff like that. I wasn't like God, I was reading my Bible, but I wasn't into it. I wasn't being intentional with it. And then I was spending way too much time like talking on the phone with one of my like an associate, but like we're trying to, build our friendship and stuff. And I realized like our conversations were not productive at all. We would be like practically gossiping, like if in a technical term, basically, because we were talking about things like stuff that's going on in the world, stuff that's going on in her life and things like that. And I also share how distant I was feeling, like because y'all know I was in a 4-year on and off relationship, and that was the most distant I have ever felt from God because I was in something that God did not want me to be in. And Evelyn was talking about how like God won't let us stay in a season for too long. Like he will always try to reel us back to him. So when you start to feel distant from God, you want to be honest with him about how distant you're feeling and what's been taking the place of him and what's been going on. Like, and even the 4-year on and off relationship is crazy because after the fast, he literally reached out to me. And I said, you, and it's crazy because in that,
That's a
oh, go ahead.
that's a shame. That's a shame. This enemy don't play fair.
I'm telling you, I'm like, the devil really be playing. And it's crazy because I think we did the fast. We didn't do the fast last week. It had to have been the week before that. And so literally like a few days after the fast, I, was it the day or 2 days before my birthday or something like that, he reached out or whatever. And it's crazy because through him reaching out, like I found out that it's sick. But yeah, I found out that he was sleeping with somebody while we were together. And so that's just, I don't know, it's just for me, I needed that because God, it shows me how much God has been trying to protect me this whole time. And this whole time I'm thinking like, oh, nothing really happened in our relationship. We just unequally yoked. And God is like, y'all not just unequally yoked. I know something that you don't know. And it's just stuff like that. And I was just like thanking God. Even today, like I was like, God, thank you so much for your continuous protection. And also just being aware that like so much comes after you consecrate yourself on God. Like all these different things come by the enemy to try to steer you off your path, but you have to remain diligent in it. And also, another thing, when you are feeling distant from God, outside of being honest with Him, try to ask Him to reveal to you what you need to do to rebuild that connection to Him, and He will reveal it to you. God definitely told me, like, I just don't need to answer the phone. Actually, a step further, I need to just block the number of my ex, because it there's no point of you reaching out when you can, or just it's not beneficial for me. And also, I can't spend that much time on TikTok, like just scrolling and scrolling, because it takes me away from even wanting to spend time with God. But yeah, ask God and He will definitely reveal to you what it is that's taking His place. Because God, He is a jealous God. And I read that as well in the Bible. Like He wants us to Himself, which I don't blame Him. And so, yes, and another thing too, when you are feeling distant from God, it's okay to call yourself on a fast, like to consecrate yourself back to God and have that silent time and alone time with God. And I want to know, have any of y'all lately, or it could be months ago, have y'all been feeling distant from God? Because I know mine came after the fast, which is crazy. Right when I was so on it.
But yeah, I definitely have.
You have. Wow. And what were you doing? Like, do you feel closer, or like what helped you rebuild that connection?
Relationship.
Mhm.
Um, so basically, I had struggled with like depression and anxiety and all that stuff for like a really, really long time. And so it had got so bad to where like I couldn't even go into like public places like Walmart, like daily shopping places that you would normally go to. I literally couldn't go to. And so my mom decided to take me to our church one day, well, to this new church. And so I went to the church and they assigned me like a church mentor. And like literally every time I would get anxiety or like before I would have to go places, we would literally just sit in the car and pray and talk about it. And she would stay on the phone with me and I'd be like, okay, Miss Bree, like I'm getting anxiety, like I'm getting scared right now. And so like I'll go back to the car, we'll pray about it, and then I'll go back home, and then the next day we'll try it again. And so that kind of helped me. So knowing that God was there, like even like back then, I wasn't even like reading my Bible daily or focused on a relationship with Him, but He was still like there helping me
Mm,
before I even was like fully committed to Him. Like He was still loving me. So that kind of just gave me like a lot of motivation. Like, okay, right, you know He gonna do all that for you. Like you might as well just go ahead and read your Bible or stuff
wow.
like that.
And you know what, too? What I realized what helped me with my anxiety and my depression throughout my season is, instead of reading the Bible, sometimes it feels like a chore. And sometimes when it feels like a chore, I really don't want to do it. So what I do instead is, when I wake up, say before I go to work, um, I play scriptures. So instead of reading it like from a Bible, I play it off of my Bible app. So on like my way to work, I'm like actively listening to someone else read me the scripture. But when I tell you, that changed my life. Like this whole season, it changed it. Once I started to actively try to listen and like respond to what the man is saying, you know, like I start off in Romans, and then by the time I get to work, I'm in like First Corinthians. But oh girl, that helped me. That helped me.
Yes, I've heard about that. I definitely gotta try it.
Yeah, I gotta try that too. I've never even thought to just play it, because I definitely feel like some night, especially when I'm in a season where I feel distant from God, um, it just feels like I'm forcing myself to read the Bible. And I saw a TikTok, crazy, because that's what was keeping me from from like our relationship, well, building my relationship with God. But it was like feeling distant from God, but then not reading your Bible because you feel distant from God. Like it's kind of crazy. And that's a good alternative, like listening to it. And because I don't know, I just feel like God don't want us to have this forced relationship, but he also don't want us to give into the desire to not feed ourselves with his word, because the more we feed our spirit, with the word of God and sermons and stuff like that, the more we're able to fight against our fleshly desires, which is like the videos, the series on TV, and maybe the people. And yep, and I also want y'all to really brainstorm and think about, like, make a list of things that you feel like, and I wrote it down in my journal too, things you feel like that keep you distant from God. Um, like it can be anything. And so now when these things come up, you are literally that's another thing. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I just remembered. Was it the day before my birthday? Yes. So me and my friend, her birthday is on June 18th. Mine is on the 19th. So the thing with my friends, or my friend, she's grown up in a Christian household, and her family and her mom and her parents are believers and stuff. But everybody have their own walk as far as with God. And so she had her birthday party or whatever. I went to her birthday party, and at the birthday party it was a lot of secular music. And so I feel like that also could have played a part in the beginning trickle down effect of me feeling distant from God. And then instead of me just automatically like, okay, shutting it out, I think the next day, because it was my birthday, and I think I played me some too, like in the car, like driving, running errands. And it's just like, now me, I have to be mindful of that. Like the enemy wants you to stay in a cycle. So just because something bad has happened, or maybe because I've been personally dealing with um this stronghold of like wanting to listen to secular music because I was just always around it growing up. And so now I have to realize, like, just because somebody they playing it at a somewhere don't mean you have to carry that on into your life. Like, so that's something I had to write down too. But yeah, that just reminded me, it was the music. But yes, y'all, write down a list. Things that make you feel far from God. When you do this certain thing, how does it make you feel towards God? Like, does it make you ashamed to go to God? Um, because I know for me, it's definitely secular music. Definitely when I spend too much time on TikTok, I definitely be feeling like, oh, I feel bad. Like, and then the third thing, gossiping definitely make me feel far from God. And like I mentioned earlier, that whole 4 year on and off relationship, that definitely made me feel far from God. So, and then it's crazy, like I told y'all, he ended up reaching out, like calling me. And now I know that even when I answer the phone, even though we haven't talked since then, like in months before that moment, I still can't even answer the phone. Like I can't even be in constant communication with this person because he makes me feel far from God. So we have to be real with our triggers, because we are literally having to fight for this relationship with God in some moments of our lives. And I think it's worth it. But I know it's worth it. But yes, do y'all have any questions about like just feeling distant from God and how to come back from it? Or anybody want to share some of their stories?
I'll share my story just a little bit about how these months just um like kind of changed my life. So in January, I quit my job. I was working with kids. I love my kids. My kids they ranged from 2 months old to one, and then sometimes I'd be in the toddler class. So I was just surrounded by babies. And I loved it, but I just knew it was time for a career change. So I decided to go back to school, see if I liked school. I didn't finish the semester. And through all of this, which is so crazy because I felt myself getting closer to God actually during this time. Um, February comes around, I meet a guy. I meet a guy. Well, actually, I already knew him, right? So we were all a part of a friend group. But while I was with the friend group, I was on top of my relationship with God, so it didn't really affect me that bad. And then right when I started to slip up, March come around. He was my first date. Like, well, first of all, I didn't explain this, but basically, I'm like what they would call a late bloomer. Like I just went on my first date at 19. I'm still 19. Like I didn't have a first kiss, or I'm still a virgin too. So like it was kind of like new. So I went on my date, and then it was like as I'm with him, like just stuff was just not going right for me, and I chalked it up to, I don't know. I just was so naive to everything, and it was like I would apply for job. I was applying for jobs nonstop, y'all, and I would not get a job. I was late on bills. Like I have a car. It is by the grace of God. Like who else would go from February to June now with no job, but their car payments are still paid, right? Crazy, but
That's so good.
I got into so much trouble, not trouble, but like just back on bills. Like my finances took a big hit. And I noticed like a lot of negative stuff would happen, because of my connection with him. And it was so crazy as I tried to bring him to God. Y'all, if y'all don't take nothing else from this conversation, if that man does not love God, you can't change him. You cannot you cannot change them. And it's not that the fact I thought I could change. Yes, it is. I thought I could change. I did. I thought so. And it was just like, even though I was trying to get back right with God, like no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't. Like listen to this. It's gonna sound crazy, but I prayed about it. I got saved from it, and you know what? Shame the devil. I'm gonna tell y'all. So the day I brought him to church, it was May 10th. The same day I brought him to church, y'all. The same day I brought him to church. Later that night, we went to a psychic. And me in my right mind would have never went to a psychic. I would have never. Everybody around me know I don't play by God. I don't play. And the fact that from my influence with him, I went to a psychic, which brought its whole other level of problems. Like, oh my gosh, from that moment was where everything decided to go downhill some more. But this time it was more spiritual. Then I'm like, it's attacking my dreams. It was crazy. And then we went to the psychic on May 10th. Then the whole next week, he just ghosted me, y'all. He ghosted me the whole next week. And then he came back around. But around that point, I'm like, God, bro, during that week, God has showed me, like, listen, this is your life. Like you're on a dangerous path right now, a dangerous path. And that week I realized, I was like, yeah, he's definitely the culprit of what's going on right now. And I needed to change. And that was, I just got a new job. Thank God. June 13th, I got my job. I still have my car. I still have peace of mind. I'm getting back into church. I'm doing my Bible studies, and I'm writing. I'm back on track. But listen, that little time, it cost me a lot. It cost me a lot. Being distracted cost me so much, and I'm thankful for God's grace. I'm thankful for y'all too, because these messages saved me too, with the ones that y'all send throughout the day. I'm just so thankful that, God's grace is sufficient for everything that we ever think that we're gonna go through. It's already covered. So that's just how my couple months been going. And I know if they attack me crazy, I can only imagine what you guys are going through. Even if you're not, I mean, God bless you as well too. But yeah, it's been rough.
I'm so glad you shared that. And it is crazy how literally one thing or one person can derail you if you allow it to, and how like the baggage, people can be baggage, and the baggage can block the blessing. And it's just crazy. Like, man, that whole situation, I can definitely relate. And it's like, it seems like people just like relationships or like stuff that isn't sent by God can really block your blessings and can have your emotions just up and down. And it's crazy because what God's saying, it won't come with all that confusion. It won't come with all that up and downness. And it's crazy because right when y'all went to church, then y'all tempted to go to this the psychic. It's crazy how the devil just be trying to get in
And,
anyway.
but then again, girl, he wasn't a Christian, so it was me. It was my fault.
Oh, but though, and see how you felt like just that generous spirit, feeling like, okay, maybe I can transform him into, believing in God and stuff. It's like, man, that ain't our job.
Sure, man.
But it's good that you did go through that, because I do believe that everything that we go through, and I'm sure all of us have our own, different stories, but it's like God still graced us because we here today and we're able to learn from it and talk about it and save somebody else from going through it. But I think these lessons help me to open my eyes for what to expect next, and understanding that the devil, he hear my prayers. Like, he hear, what I say out of my mouth. So I have to be diligent in, understanding what's sent by God and what's not sent by God, and denying my flesh literally daily. Cause man, the stuff be tempting. It's crazy. But I do believe that God is gracing us, and He fully equipped us. Everything that we might go through on this walk with God, He gives us a choice. And it's so crazy. Sometimes I wish I didn't even have a choice. But I'm glad I do. But He give us the choice. Either we're going to follow his way or do what our own desires. And every time we go with our own desires, we end up right back to him anyway. Every time, which is good. Let me see the comments. She said it. She commented some heart. But yes. Did anybody else wanted to share anything? Who did that? She said, definitely be wishing we didn't have a choice. Right? Sometimes I be like, I wish I could just always do what's right. But this is a journey, not like because it's crazy. Because the one thing I did learn too is we will never be perfect. Like, we will never have it all together. Even when we die, we will still not have it all together. But it's the fact that we are constantly aiming to live right, to do right by God, and to pick back up every time we fall off, which is most important. But y'all, please do not forget to write down different things that keep you distant from God, and also write down what it is that keeps you feeling close to God, and try to do more of those things. and you're able to look back on it and be like, okay, this is what keep me distant from God, so I'm not going to do this. Or hey, this keeps me close to God, so today let me make sure I do this. And I think that can help us, especially when it's written on paper. But yes, y'all have anything else y'all want to say or add? And is this a better time for y'all? Let me know, because we can switch it to 7 on Sundays if that worked best. Because I know we were doing it earlier.
Yeah, I definitely like this time more because when it was at like 12, sometimes I'll be doing stuff, sometimes I wasn't, but like this normally the time I like wind down anyways.
Okay, perfect. Okay, what about everybody else? She said, I like this time better. Okay.
Yeah, I like this too.
Yeah, I like it better. Okay, perfect. So we can definitely change it. I was also thinking like maybe some weeks do it on different days too, just because I know everybody's schedule is different. And I know Sundays people be with family, church, and everything like that. So we can definitely accommodate. But I did record this, so I will send it in a group chat. Hopefully by tonight if they email me the recording tonight. So yeah. Thank y'all for joining. Today was really good because I definitely been feeling distant. And that's the thing too with these meetings. Like I have to talk to y'all about stuff that I'm actively going through or, that God placed on my heart. So I'd be going with the flow, whatever God want me to talk about. But yes, y'all. Thank y'all. And we will talk. If y'all want to continue texting, we can talk in the chat and hopefully I'll get this to y'all tonight. She said, I'm glad it was more people this time. Yes, it's more fun, isn't it? Like, I'm glad everybody came because it is so much more. I don't know, it's a lot more interactive, I would say, when it's a lot more people. But thanks y'all so much for showing up. And y'all have a good rest of y'all Sunday. Bye, y'all.